Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having massive, amazing, valuable conversations in XPANSE. Welcome to the Ephemeral VL, Science Meets Art. And I'm sure you have seen science meeting art across the corridors through XPANSE today. I'm Dr. Hoda AlKhzaimi, and it's my honor to moderate this exciting panel. Today, we will explore how radical ideas are born in the intersection of art and science. And we will also explore how we are allowing those ideas to born, thrive, and transform the world into a great painting that we are seeing across the board. In today's world, this intersectionality continues to drive innovation. And it's our golden fuel in a very conflicted world today. Projects like the Human Genome Project brought together not just scientists, geneticists, computer scientists, and statisticians in order to decode the human DNA and revolutionize the medicine. Projects like what we've seen outside, Transposon project, transformed genetics data and information in order to make complex biological data and information audible in a beautiful format and visual format for the public. Today, joining me in my panel are my amazing artists and scientists in the room who will be talking about the frontiers of arts and science in the next decade. Let's begin by reflecting on how these intersections sparked innovation, starting with what we've seen in Galileo astronomical drawings, blending science and arts into precision to revolutionize our understanding of cosmos and to build the first kind of cosmotic instrumentation around the globe. In contemporary times, we've seen institutions like CERN initiate global initiatives like Art at CMS program, which has increased the public engagements between artists and scientists and made sure that the impact of those projects are being comprehended to over 35% of the demographies globally. The power of interdisciplinarity, how can we measure it and how can we talk about it today, is quite of a beautiful pursuit that we hopefully will understand in today's panel. I'll start my question with you, Krista. In your work, Mars House, your project merged art and technology in an extraordinary way. How do you navigate the balance between artistic intuition and technology precision in your work? Can you share examples on how these interdisciplinarity of collaboration brought these visions to life?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the question, Dr. Hoda. As an artist, I'm not a very technical person, which is probably surprising to most. But what I'm good at is observing the technology and seeing how the technology can become a medium for creating a beautiful experience, a humane experience. That is pretty much the philosophy behind my work. How can I create meditative healing experiences using emerging technology? So when I come from that philosophy, the ideas come to me naturally. And I see technology as a medium. Basically, just like you have a pencil or you have a crayon, you have paints, all of the emerging technology that we see that's exponentially changing the world is a medium of art as well. And that is why what we do is so important, so that we can demonstrate where art is going and the new possibilities of art.
So amazing. So using technology as a medium to provide a humane kind of conception of a human living. Takashi, in teamLab, the installations combine art, science, and nature. What challenges and opportunities have you seen when you are encountering the synthesizing different elements for your artistic pieces?
It's a little bit similar answer for like her. It's for us. It's also like the most important. It's like a priority. It's like something. It's what we believe that it's the beautifuls, or it's something we cannot explain by words. And it's a science, or it's technologies, or it's even digital, or it's whatever you can call, is for us, it's just the tools and the materials. But it's the science and the art, if I define, it's both of them, we try to understand what is the word for the meaning for the human beings. But it's a little bit different approach. And the science is, yeah, you can ask to the scientist, but it's an artist, we try to understand that word, but it's a little bit different dimensions, or it's like, we try to pick up of this, like, very much it's, how to say, it's very ambiguous, and we don't know how to explain by words, but it's, try to pick up some kind of the element and try to show to and share with other peoples. So, like, it's now the most easiest sample is like it's like rains. The rain is if I ask to the people, it's today's everybody. It's drawing as rains, but it's maybe in a couple hundred years ago. The rain had it exists, but it's people didn't drawings as rain as lines. It was drawing by wet floors or drawing of like umbrellas, but it's somehow people kind of accept it's rain as rain lines, and then people started to describe of this today's phenomena to be expressed. And it's, if we could express something, it's, we can share with that beauty or it's something with other peoples. And the scientists and the science is also same. It's a long time ago we believed of the sky is moving, but in fact it's like the Earth was like one small part of this, like crawling around its sun. And it's this perception is an expanded in our world. So both science and art is try to expand this in our perceptions. And we would love to do it in our approach. It's art.
So widening the horizon of perception of art when you're using mediums of science. I love it. I love it. So for Arlie, as an academic leader, researcher, and scientist yourself, what are the main opportunities that existed across different disciplines for you throughout your experiences when you're considering art and science?
Yes. Well, let me begin by saying, Hoda, that to me, when you do science, when you do mathematics, you're also artists, except you're working in a more rigid medium. And what ties everything together is the creativity. And so, for example, if I say there's a point here, there's a point there, and a point here, that is information I've given you. I don't know what is in your mind, but in my mind, I connected those 3 dots and I see a triangle. That is knowledge, and that is using creativity with information. When you conduct scientific research, you're doing this where that kind of input, that kind of model building, the creativity you're putting in your mind, you're doing it with data, you're doing it with mathematical equations. But for me, the process is still creativity. And so the last thing I would say perhaps is there's an interplay, there's a dance between that kind of intellectual infrastructure and the creative process. Yesterday I mentioned the smartphones. You notice that the artistic design that's there to engage you, it connects with you emotionally. It connects with you, I would say in a certain sense, it makes you feel good to carry that particular personal technology around. And I feel that art does this to you and science also. My view is that the art goes deeper. It has, because it's not as constrained a medium, it really connects with your humanity because it can move you, as I said, emotionally. For some, it moves you spiritually. That kind of experience, to me, can never be neglected in any scientific thing you do. And the best engineering, the best science you do, gives you also that human connection.
Thank you, Arlie. So, Solimán, for you, I think with pieces like Art Proxima, that bridges arts and cutting-edge technology, the details of technology as they accelerate is quite impressive. So how can you make sure that you stay in collaborative zone with arts and science and focus on delivering, I would say, an impactful piece of art at the end of the day?
So thank you for the invitation. I think there's a thin line, but everything is a question of how we name things. You know, I think that we are becoming a very complex society. We are trying to unpack any kind of detail that is composing or building our structure as humans. But nature doesn't make this kind of difference. Everything happens like very fluidly. The thing is that why we are trying to get those blocks of content to name what we are doing. I think that now you mentioned creativity, and I think that if we are able to open the doors in between the disciplines, I think that the creativity will be even expands, you know, in the sense of its concept. What I think is gathering all together here is the curiosity. When art is curious, it is the way that you are connected with science, because it's the same approach that a scientific has in the research. Me as an artist that is working with, I mean, I name myself as a new conceptual media artist. A new media conceptual artist. That means that I am not obsessed about the using of technology. I'm obsessed in the choosing technology I have, and the way I have to choose the technology to speak about what I'm trying to create or to communicate. And here what's happening in our Proxima is kind of a collective thinking about the most important topics of our day-by-day life, mediated by technology and life entities. I think that we need to still understanding how our planet works to face the future to be like in balance with the science and with the planet and with the art as a way of communicating things.
Amazing. So it's like creating a different canvas where people are seeing the visible dimensions of reality, but in a different sense, I think. So Krista, in terms of measurability, I think, and this is what we suffer here in this domain, is to drive a case where we tell people they need to invest more into the domains and dimension of art meeting science. How do you do it through your work? Because your work is about societal changes and pushing the boundaries across societal changes and using your artistic medium for it. So how do you measure the impact when it comes to producing these pieces?
There's a new art installation that I'm launching at Noor Riyadh called Heartspace. It's launching next Tuesday on the 26th. And this is an immersive experience. It's an AI biometric artwork. I'm collaborating with a company called Tenbeo, and it's biometric science. So the science of taking someone's heartbeat and using AI to create a unique heart signature is their technology, their IP. And this IP is used for high security clearance, physical spaces, and also for banks, accessing bank accounts, using your heartbeat. So you enter using your 2 digits, 2 fingers on an ECG device. It registers your heartbeat. The heart signature is assigned to you using AI. And did you know that your heart signature is unique to every one of us? And it's a very poetic science, actually. The art is in the science as well. And so I was very inspired when I learned about my friend's technology, Atalas Kratuni, who's a CEO. So it's this mutual friendship and mutual inspiration. The inspiration of the technology, the poetic aspect of the technology. Yes, it's used for high security and also for proof of personhood, but why not use that same technology to create a beautiful experience? So Heartspace is an immersive experience where you're taking 4 data inputs. 4 people enter the room, enter their heartbeat information, and you see a beautiful interplay, a dance of waveforms represented by each algorithm. And then the color represents your emotion, your state, emotional state in the moment. So it really is an experience of AI that brings humanity together, co-creation, collaboration. And so I think that it's mostly about inspiration, learning from each other, mutual inspiration.
So creating a space for human inspiration and co-creation, not just through the audience, but through the technology and medium that you are using across board. I think I want to know the perception of this impact story from every one of you. Like, Solimán, how does it quantify for you in your artistic pieces? What's impact to you?
So I think that as an artist, I'm trying to experiment physically what I'm talking about. So my work has bringing me the opportunity to be like in the Arctic, in Svalbard, where we will be. I was producing the project Manifesto Terricola that is based in a message for humanity stored in DNA inside a 3D printed yard of collagen that we introduced in a glacier. With this notion, with this idea of thinking about the possibility of having this year in the next future, that means that the glacier is still alive. And if not, that means that the message will be gone. And in parallel, I was bringing this possibility of having massive hard drive of data storing DNA in glaciers with the double purpose of keeping safe our own heritage, at the same time keeping safe the ecosystem, because the Arctic is a key ecosystem for the global planet. Also, I was recently in Ecuador, in Chimborazo, that is the closest place to the sun, analyzing the possibility of using extremophile bacteria to remove space junk through the digestion of heavy metals. And recently, I'm just coming back from the Amazon, where I was founding a museum that is connecting the possibility of having kind of cultural entity to preserve the environmental DNA. I'm producing a new artwork, the name is Capside, that is containing the DNA of the Amazon in kind of spheres that we were bringing them, opening the opportunity to have also a new economy for the local communities. So that experience is coming through this practice and through this curiosity of connecting the possibilities of technology. But at the same time, I'm not using that kind of cutting-edge technology. I'm using technology that are belonging to our day, but because at the same time, we are not accessible to have this technology, because they are in the companies that are working on. And then the society, when the society is ready, the technology comes, no? So just to make it clear, I think my life it's trying to understand who am I and who the society I'm living in is going. And I think art and nature, in the sense of the connection, the real connection between both, I think it's a very important key to have responses. And just to finish, I don't like the notion that we have as humans to think that we are separated with nature. Now I explain myself to say, okay, I am coming from COP, and we are all the day long talking about biodiversity, and we say, from human we talk about diversity. What's the difference between bio and, we are nature. When you understand that, I think that it's very easy to know that the technology that we are doing is going to explain that we are also a technology.
Oh my God, I love that kind of storytelling where you took us into pathways of conservation of a human impact story, I think. It's not just about art, it's about humanity in general. Takashi, goes back to you. I think teamLab spends a lot of effort, a valuable effort and insight in creating human experience. So what methods do you use to capture impact of the work that you do?
Yeah, it's maybe that's good question. I need 2 more hours.
Yeah.
I try to make this quite short. It's a teamLab. It's like we are collectives. We have like the software engineers and the hardware engineers and it's mathematicians and the architects, and making it by teams as like co-creations. And it is quite hard to say how we make of this artworks, because nobody knows what is like a final output. It is like in a time machines. Like there is kind of this ideas and visions, but nobody knows how it's embodied and how it's look like.
Yeah.
So how we're going to make is we try to make of this, like try and errors. We're making with the prototypes, and if we couldn't feel it's enough, we're going to try to find the problems and solve it. And again and again and again and again. And certain point we feel like it's kind of the certain quality to show to the peoples that is a moment of this beginnings. And then we show to the peoples. And sometimes some people like it, sometimes people hate it. But still, we accept of that. And like it's kind of scary work, but we do.
I love that. So every level of engagement that you have from your audience matters. And the impact story is like if it relates to them as you intended for you when you created it. Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is as easy as it seems. Our artists are amazing in telling this story. What about you, Arlie? How do you think you can measure the impact of interdisciplinarity when you are trying to instill it within an academic institution? I don't think it gets that easy because we need to get away from our boxes sometimes, right?
Well, let me maybe begin by commenting with what my colleagues just said. So when I think of science, it's an attempt to understand our world. And whether you're doing it through physics, say you're understanding the physical structure, functions, behavior of the world, or it's biological, or it's even psychological. So when you go across the spectrum from the subatomic to neuroscience to the cosmos at large, you're trying to understand the world you have found yourself in. And that process of doing it through science, you're to do it through the scientific method to give you objectivity. When you engage in that, you are, as I said before, engaging in a creative process that would be able to take any human being into an understanding of those things. But there's more. The assumption, one of the fundamental hypotheses of the scientific method, is it's independent of us as a human being. So if there's an alien being, that alien being should discover the same laws of physics that we on this planet have discovered. Now, when I think of art, I think of it as also an attempt to understand something about the human condition. It takes a different approach. And it's doing this in a way that, for example, and I think one of the key things is for it to resonate with you, to connect with you. And one of the ways it connects is through your emotions. And it can happen through your listening, it can happen visually, it can happen through touch, and you get the story. So for me, interdisciplinarity is all about different ways we use to understand the world. And I feel that each approach that we have, whichever culture we are from, whatever time period you're born in, all of us have an experience of the world and have an experience emotionally. And I believe when those things come together, you can have a distinct creative leap. As I told you with the 3 dots, in my mind, because of my own journey, I like thinking about triangles, but you may think of something else. And so I feel that interdisciplinarity, what we try to encourage at a university, especially in my role as provost, is to stimulate that kind of connectivity and to try and create synergies among those that come together in these collaborative spaces.
So stimulation of people so they can get and be incentivized to think outside the box and maybe remove the challenges amidst all of the partners in order to collaborate. Great insight. Thank you so much, Arlie. I think because we have 5 minutes into the conversation, I'll merge my last 2 thematics, which is future and maintaining, sustaining radical ideas. And I will start with you, Krista. It's not easy to sustain being at the radical edge of the world, right? When you have such a beautiful artistic vision that you want to maintain. What's your toolbox? If I asked you to choose 3 elements in life that you want to have with you no matter what in order to preserve your artistic intuition that will lead you to creating these new radical ideas?
Well, first of all, I think that artists are very sensitive to the world, to the inputs of the world, to what's happening in the ether. And I feel like when I'm approaching any kind of project or I'm inspired by an idea, it's always a reaction to what I'm experiencing in the world and my observations of the world. So I really believe that it is the keen observation, it is the intuition of the artist. And I also believe that it's, for me, relationships. Because I believe that collaboration in an interdisciplinary approach is everything. So you're communicating, and my interest is very keen on emerging technology. I've always been into the next. So I'm always having these very incredible conversations with technologists, with engineers, with educators, etc. And it's always a dialogue, and it's an ongoing investigation. I'm always learning, always curious.
So creating an ecosystem where you always learn, you always converse. Oh, wow. We all need that. We all need that. Takashi, what's for you? What's your dream ecosystem that will make you stay at the radical edge?
I have no ideas, but it's what I can do is we are working for the project in Abu Dhabi right now, and it's going to open up this in our teamLab Ephemeral in Saadiyat Island, and it's all we can do is we are not smart as scientists, and we are not politicians, and it's what we can do is just keep on making of this something what we believed, and it's something what we believed is that output is going to affect it to other people's, it's maybe next generations, or it's some other people's, and they're going to create of the futures, and it's me also, or it's we also, it's create of the futures. But it's all I can say is as I said, some project in front of me, it's super enough for me, and I don't have any space to think about some futures. And so we are just focusing for the project in front of me. And it's always, the futures is, even if I don't want, it's going to showing up. Yeah. And it's so, anyway, I don't think about some futures, just focusing on now.
Yeah, love it. So getting a generation where they can help you work now, think of the future, and they're your fuel for that kind of pathway. What about you, Arlie?
Yes, and I promise to be quick. I'm watching the clock going. I would say more XPANSE events. I feel that this is a convergence, using the terminology that is really permeating the entire setting here, meeting different people, listening, and creating a safe space for you to express creativity. I'm really serious in the sense that if you have never made a film before, but you come from a different area, say in science, why should then I not be allowed to make a film? I just need the courage. I'll feel insecure, but if I could be encouraged to express creativity in all these different media, why can't you say, hey, I'd like to learn some of that mathematics, some of that physics? Why should that door be closed to you? So I feel the free exchange that can generate synergies, it has to be a safe place where you don't feel judged, you don't say you're not as good as, none of that should apply. Allow the human being to flourish.
I love that. You can definitely tell the different mindsets in between scientists and artists, because artists are thriving in the criticism, right? They love it when people are disrupting them. So creating safe spaces, I think we need more of that, definitely. Solimán, it gets a little bit difficult with you because you've been to space, you've been to Amazon, you're archiving the pathways of humanity through your artistic work. What's next? What's going to keep you at the edge, at the radical edge of creation when it comes to your artwork?
So I'm trying to explore the possibilities of art when the human stopped being a human. So now in our Proxima, we have a base of thinking that is how art will survive in another planet with other conditions, with a lot of radiation, and without air, ice everywhere. So I think that we have to be already in that place. I think that the world is changing very rapidly. Maybe we will be having like a dystopic perspective of the future that will be keeping us on Earth to keep safe our society and our communities. And I hope that we evolve as a species. We provoke a world without wars.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. I think I would like to thank my audience for being here, and thank you so much for being here and trying to understand what's the future pathway of preserving radical ideas at the intersection of art and science. And I think our major takeaway here is we're both artists and scientists are trying to preserve this human story in almost sometimes non-human life, and trying to produce different impact stories across board. So let's keep that space disrupted, and let's keep that space going, inshallah. So enjoy XPANSE, and thank you so much for joining us in the panel. Thank you.